Hello, hello, and welcome to the Trisbrina Wellness Show. I'm Tristan.
I'm Sabrina.
This is September 23rd, and we're excited to be sharing with you today why affirmations don't work. For most people, anyway. And what are the big mistakes people are making? More importantly, what are the fixes?
That's right.
Yes, we've got a story about affirmations. You probably do too, but we got a fun one. Years and years and years and years.
Wait.
Hold up.
Black belt eyes.
Coming in.
What is an affirmation and what do we mean by affirmation? Oh, your story's going to explain it? Okay.
That's okay. Take it away.
No.
Pattern interrupt. I have nothing else to say.
An affirmation in the context of this training and this video, this sharing, is particularly about phrases that you say out loud or in your head in order to move you towards a goal or a future version of yourself that you would like to own or have.
I have a feeling,
tell the story.
I will tell the story, but I have a feeling with this particular audience, we've probably all been practicing affirmations since we were like 5 years old,
whether
right?
we know it or not.
Well, that's true too. But, when you first came into the world of affirmations, maybe you were reading Louise Hay or Shakti Gawain or, something around personal growth and changing your thoughts to change your life, right? And so often in this conversation about affirmations, we're going to run into the conversation about the subconscious mind and habits and programs and old stories and limiting beliefs and how we have to upgrade our thoughts and we have to change our programs. And then we're going to get into more today, the neuroscience behind it, and rewiring the brain for success and the thought patterns and subliminals and brainwaves and all this stuff. And the story that I was going to jump in with was
Once upon a time,
little Tristan and Sabrina were walking across the street, and they had plans for this energy experience that they wanted to share called Satori Method. And as they were preparing to share that, this opportunity was dropped right in their lap. And this opportunity was to work with somebody from the hit movie and book, The Secret.
2, 3, several people.
Multiple have happened since then, but this one particular individual who we thought was super cool, was really, really into affirmations. And they've got a deep, beautiful story about how they ended up living in this amazing home without even knowing it was the home the exact home they cut out in their
vision board.
For their vision board from Dream Homes magazine. We're talking about John Assaraf. And he became a business partner of ours. And we ended up creating something together called Affirmations. Sabrina came up with the hooky name, and it was all about the visual data that's encoded inside of pictures and images that can be fed with syntax, good language patterns that help to feed the brain and create a certain outcome in your life.
Yeah.
And so we went down this path deep. And along the way, we learned a thing or two about why affirmations don't work for people. So we're not just pulling this out, like we didn't just like go and like, oh, what can we talk about today? Affirmations.
Yeah, the joke. People go, I'm going to research it, and that means I'm going to Google and go with the first thing I see. That's not really research.
This was our company. This was our business that we had with John for many years, and it's been amazing. And it's fully embedded into what we do with energy work. And I think our perspective is a little different, a little unique, and we're going to share that today.
So the Affirmavision, we spelled it affirm-a-vision, was this tool that we made so that we could hit multiple senses and multiple parts of the brains at the same time. The brains.
I was going to say, how many brains do we have? Multiple hemispheres.
So you would see an image and you would hear an affirmation and you would read an affirmation, and at the same time we played brain entrainment music under it. Now that's all really great, and what an amazing program we made.
It was really cool. It is cool.
It is cool. But then we had this joke about convenience. And we would say, you're moving through your life and then something comes up that like bums you out, or the circumstance comes up, you can't go, wait, let me go make an Affirmavision, right? So we started really diving into what works, what doesn't, how can we get to it fast and own it ourselves.
So I think we don't need to dig into what affirmations are very much, but we're going to read a couple to you. These are just some that I pulled up from one of our affirmation sheets. We were probably putting these into our Affirmavisions, or at least something like this. I focus my power, I change my life. So this is a particular statement that the person is repeating on the regular. You're supposed to be in a certain brainwave state when you do this so that you get into what's called the receptive alpha layer, where the programs can really change at the deep root level. I am a positive resource and people want to do business with me.
Why are you reading these affirmations?
I'm giving you some examples.
Of affirmations just in general?
In general.
Okay.
Now, and there's a reason that I'm doing this. Number one, I want you to hear a couple of them. And number two, I want to talk about why they probably don't work for most people. I am confident, competent, and calm. Repeat it 50 times. Go. I'm confident, competent, and calm. I used to have little note cards in my truck when I lived in Malibu back in the day. I am confident, and it's working. Now, truth be told, and I bet this happened to you too, there are probably images and words and goals that you wrote down in your journal or put on your dream board or something like that that came to be. And this is that hit and miss thing, because there are other people who've done that or written down like, I'm confident it's working. It wasn't working, by the way.
Or they wouldn't have written it.
That have done this and they're like, you know what? That actually came to be. Well, What was different in them than somebody else? That's what we're going to dive into. Yeah. So there was a few for you.
Or even something like, I love money and money loves me. Mm. And then some people will say, I'm a multimillionaire, and I really want to talk about why that affirmation can hinder you more than help you. But it all depends.
It does depend. So
what does it depend on?
Well, let's get into that one in a minute.
Okay.
So we've gone through a couple of baseline points on affirmation. So top level, what most people will tell us, the reason why affirmations aren't working, one of the main reasons has to do with how in which you're programming them in to the brain. So if you're saying them at top level using your cognitive, conscious, the mind we're all using right now, you're very superficial, you're the surface level, and you're using your discipline, your focus, your willpower to say that you want this thing or you are this thing. And we'll talk about where she's going with whether or not it aligns to you. Mm-hmm. But it's not deep enough. You're not in an open state where the old root programs really live in the subconscious layer, the deeper mind, to be overridden.
I want to insert, just like logically, why would we want to have an affirmation that says, I am confident and calm? We would want that affirmation because we're currently running a subconscious program that maybe oftentimes feels insecure or panicky. Mm-hmm. So we're thinking, I don't like feeling this self-conscious and panicky and insecure. What do I want? Well, I feel confident and calm, right? So a lot of the affirmations are to replace a thought and a program that has been repeated so many times in our subconscious mind.
We used to do an exercise called Black Dog, White Dog, and because it's easier for people to usually identify what they don't like or identify the source of pain, we'd have them write down all the I ams that aren't fun, all the things that they don't like about their life.
That's easier sometimes.
It can be a lot easier. It's easier to identify anyway. And then we would say, okay, what's the white dog? So if you know the beautiful Native American Indian story about the black dog and the white dog, you'll get that, the wolves, the two wolves. If not, Google it. But the white...
Research it.
Research it. The white wolf is the pure wolf, the wolf that we want to win, or the dog we want to win. So we'd replace them with white dog affirmation, which is what's the antithesis of what you don't want. I'm stressed out. I'm worried about money and I'm not sure if I'm going to make it. And then you'd flip it, right?
Yeah, I have more than enough abundance to make ends meet.
Yes. And then you would start to, like Sabrina said, like erase and replace, right? Go in and let me override this particular story, tape, recording in my deeper mind, this neural network of belief system. Let me not focus on that one. We'll focus on this new little one here. This one will atrophy and diminish, and this one will get stronger and better. And there were two components that you were probably taught is repetition is your friend. You've got to be consistently doing it and bring as much feeling and as emotion to the experience as possible. Now that's really smart, and we'll talk about that as we go. So that's the base concept, right? Let me replace my story. And there's a lot of truth in that.
Oh, yeah.
Big time truth. But now here's one of the big issues that we think is happening. somebody will, like I have a sheet of affirmations here, and I could go through them and you could go through them and you could pick the ones that you feel are your white dog affirmations. Those make sense to me. Those are things that I want. Those are things that are missing in my life. I'm going to go ahead and start repeating those. Oh, and I know that I should meditate and get into that sleepy, drowsy state, or I could listen to the words with that. I could even get brainwave music, which puts my brain into what's called the alpha and theta levels, and then I can listen. And that's all true. And you can build new programs.
Yep.
Absolutely. New belief systems will form if you do this. But we think there's a problem with that. And the problem is those didn't come from inside out.
Yep.
They came from outside in. What I mean by that
and
is...
that's why they don't work.
Or often don't work. Let's say that somebody says an affirmation and you listen to it, you hear it, and you're like, man, I love the way that sounded. That felt good and my energy went up. Versus what your head said, I need that, I want that, I'm lacking, I should say that. Your energy went up. That particular affirmation, therefore, is more aligned to you and your energy and your internal desire.
Yeah.
Versus some program in your head telling you don't have what you want, you need to get it through that affirmation. So there's an alignment factor. But what we discovered over time was that there's an inner knowing or an inner being that has a brain of its own that will actually serve up affirmations. They may be in alignment with something that somebody else is saying. You're like, ooh, that's a really good fit. And if you're going to use affirmations, you absolutely should be doing that. But there is your own inner affirmation that we would call a confirmation. So moving from an affirmation to a confirmation, it's not something you're having to lay on top of. It's something you've already realized. This is my truth. This is what I love. I do deserve this. All I need to do now is just reprogram an old story, but I'm completely aligned.
Yeah. And it might not be your current truth from the outside.
That's true.
Right. So even though we're saying confirming, if you have an affirmation that's ringing true to you, that if you told somebody, they'd be like, that's not what's happening in your life.
I don't see any evidence of that.
Right? That doesn't mean that you're not confirming what you know, like you know, as your possibility. So I'm gonna give a few examples of things, because sometimes you want to play with your affirmations and stair step them. Right? Because if you can't fully embody the emotion with a sense of excitement and confidence of possibility, it's not the right one for you. So let's talk money, because money is a great one. Usually like money or weight, because those are such triggers for so many people. So let's say money, and you're struggling. There's more. What do they call it? There's more
month at the end of the money.
More month than there is money at the end of the month. And like what you are really feeling, your real feeling is, I want to get this stress off my back and I want to be able to relax. That's really what you're looking for at that moment. It's like you're being held under the water and you want a little oxygen. And then you read in a book that a really great affirmation is, I am a multimillionaire now and forever. And you say that, and that sounds really good, but chances are you are not going to align with that at that moment, and you're not going to be able to make that big of a leap. Therefore, the first emotion that you're going to feel is, I doubt it, even if you want to believe it, right? So you would have to find a better sentence that just feels really great for you. And maybe that affirmation simply is, at the end of the month, I'm relaxed knowing I'm completely taken care of. Right? Because that's more in alignment with what you want right then. And that's more believable. And it doesn't even bring the word money into it.
So it doesn't trigger
if
you.
Money is your trigger. At the end of the month, I'm totally relaxed knowing that everything is taken care of. And if when you hear that, I bet if you were that person, you'd be like, oh, that sounds amazing. Way more than if somebody said, oh, just say that you're a multimillionaire. Does that mean you can't be a millionaire? No. It has to do with that you have to be able to match it as a frequency. You have to be able to feel that and embody that as your next truth. Now, after a very small while, when You are at the end of the month. It's like there's not a lot of extra, but I'm relaxed knowing that I'm taken care of. Then you actually have a different frequency then to choose the next step. I'm not saying there aren't miracles, and maybe you can go from not being able to pay your bills to stepping into that next level, but it's super difficult to maintain that believability with the emotional impact that you want to have. And to me, it can be stressful. If there's any part of you that feels something with your affirmation, like, oh no,
I have to drop my
it's
crap about that. I've got to
yeah,
really cleanse that. I'm so, I'm going to push through that, or I've got to
yeah,
release that.
yeah,
Maybe you should really listen to what Sabrina's saying about brushing up against it, and
mm-hmm,
listen to your energy system when you say the words, when you put that particular language pattern together.
yeah,
Does it make your energy go
mm-hmm,
up? Because then you
yeah,
know, wait, this is what I'm seeking more of. Your internal guidance system is so incredible. It won't lie to you. But if you say affirmations that you don't believe, inwardly you'll
mm-hmm,
feel like a
yeah,
liar, and your subconscious mind will reject them.
mm-hmm.
It'll be a
And
waste of time.
using the words that if you find out, let's say it's a weight issue and you want to lose 25 pounds, but you have some self-consciousness about it and you've judged yourself for it, it's been an issue for a few years, it might be kind of challenging for you to say, I now weigh 130 pounds, if that is very far from what you wanted. So crafting a statement such as, I'm releasing what isn't needed with speed every day. Or I'm using the food that was stored in my pantry as fat to fuel my day. Like things that actually are happening and make you feel good about yourself. Your affirmations should make you feel good, because then you start resonating with that, vibrating with that. That becomes your frequency and sucks you into that.
I love that.
If your affirmation makes you feel judgment towards yourself, it's just pushing you back down into the old reality. And then someone will say affirmations don't work. And it's not that affirmations don't work. It was the wrong affirmation for you, because that affirmation triggered a limiting belief and put you in a frequency that doesn't allow you to move and grow.
In our method, we teach a method we call Satori Method. We don't even have our students doing affirmations in the beginning. So in personal development, immediately, usually, you'll start looking at your limiting beliefs, your unconscious habits, your patterns and programs, as you should. But what we suggest our students do first is fix the energy disruptions
Yes.
that are causing you to think that way. What? Yes, when your energy is out of flow, out of alignment, stagnant, or blocked, that's what causes a disruption in the system, in the way that you're reading how you feel. So we always say that your emotions are how you read your energy system. Your emotions are the language of your energy system. So if you're not feeling good or you're thinking negative thoughts, then the place to look isn't straight to the brain, in our opinion. It's to look at the energy first. We always say through the body, back in the heart, then upgrade the mind. Let me say that again. Through the body, specifically the energy system. When you clear up the disruptions, the negative emotions start to naturally drop off. You start to become more aligned back in the heart. We have discovered that there's a brain in your being. You've heard since you were a kid, mom, grandma said, listen to your heart, trust your heart, follow your heart. There's so much research being done today by leading scientists, neuroscientists, luminary leaders about why this works, being in a coherent heart state, that you actually are receiving information. There is a neurological circuitry between the heart and the head, where when you're back in alignment with this, because you fixed your energy, you start getting the most amazing thoughts. That's why we say they're confirmations, because when you start to activate and awaken this inner knowing, affirmations are natural.
Mm-hmm.
They're truly confirmations. They're not from the
Yeah.
outside in. Now, energy,
Their visions and insights.
energy is emitted. You go into different states of frequency, and you can feel frequency. You can feel it like reading emotion. When you're in a high vibe, you feel happy. You feel grateful. You feel love. You have understanding, deeper levels of compassion. You feel abundant, generous, right? And you emit a frequency. Now, frequency is what carries your thoughts. But if you're in a frequency that's a low vibration, dampened or lacking, and you try to lay abundant thinking before you've done the energy work, on top of that frequency, it can't carry it. It's a mismatch. Does that make sense? It's a mismatch. You're saying something that not only does your deeper mind not believe, but your energy system can't carry it. It'll never work. And here's a thing to watch out for that we've seen. You actually can not take care of your energy system and program your brain with subliminals and different repetition techniques, and you can create a belief system in your brain that's completely incongruent with where your energy's at. And you can start walking around thinking these particular thoughts that are so different than how you're feeling. It can create, I used to call it a spiritual schizophrenia. It can cause this thing in your brain where part of you says, well, I've already arrived, I already am this, and you're not, because your energy is still off. Does that make sense? Like, you do not want to wire in a thought pattern that is not already in your body, because it'll never stick. It'll never stick. It'll always get kicked out.
Unless...
Or create a lot of mental confusion.
What you're creating and expanding into and allowing is in alignment with your emotions and your feelings and your energy. And unless it does come from the heart, from the inside, it won't be satisfying.
Thank you.
So that's the whole point too, is if you're going to, whatever it is, lose the weight and be unhappy, or make the money and be unhappy, that's not what you wanted to begin with. So the energy, that joyful, playful energy of what it feels like to have those things, including the joy. It's not just having those things with the dry experience. That's why it's so important, the energy that you are in as you are emanating your desires.
Right.
And when you are, it won't even feel like you're emanating desires. It will feel like you're playing, imagining, confirming, doing incantations, and it'll just feel obvious. Because if you look around, I always thought this was so funny. We all have these, let's say, financial limiters. Like some people will say, I don't have enough money. And you'll say, well, could you make $100 a month? And they'd be like, no, that's ridiculous. Okay, could you make $3,000 a month? And no, that's ridiculous. How about 5? Yeah. Okay, how about 50? No. So you can kind of play and you can see where your point of, well, that's ridiculous. I would never be able to make that little bit of money. I would never be able to have that little bit of money. So we all have that thing already, like that's too little and that's too big and this is what I believe. And when you look at yourself, I think it's hilarious because I have it. I'm like, well, to think that I would only have that much financial abundance is just silly. Like that's not who I am. That's how I feel. That's not who I am. But then don't I also feel that about that number over there? Oh, that's not who I am. So guess what? That's not who I am. Crap. So what do I have to do? I have to, if I want to move that way, I have to move that energetic frequency that then determines that, well, of course I have more than that. Now, does that make sense? Or even with how your body looks. Or we get emails where people just will say, things like, I don't have this, I don't have that, I am this, I am that, I have this limitation.
Oh, right.
And as I'm reading their emails, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, for you to so quickly write to me or write to our company and tell me all of your limiting beliefs and all of your limiting thoughts without any possibility of hope, that's very hard for me to help you. Right. But we all have it in the way that we do. Some people just more or less. So even though I feel like we're pretty abundant minded and we're very healthy and we're very strong, where still are we not allowing all that we could be? And where can we allow the energy to go even more?
We, like all of us, need to just be really honest with ourselves. And especially when you're on a spiritual path or an energy worker or a teacher, you still want to check your stuff. and be really, really honest and take a good look and go, show me where I'm falling into these small thinking states. Show me that limiting thought. So step one there is to recognize when you're doing an I am, or this sucks, or right, I'm pissed, I'm angry, how dare they, like, you got to catch that stuff and see it for what it is and identify how often is that program and therefore energy pattern running. Because if that's running, and over here, then you're doing your best to be positive.
Yep.
You know, those things are canceling each other out.
Or both radio stations are playing at the same time and
split signal. Yeah. And so that message is not direct connect. But if you could, we say, you know, move the body, fix the energy, and then meditate, because not only does meditation help you access that inner knowing, it gives you this ability to focus. And this is really important. When you're driving down the road and there's a lot of cars, a lot of traffic, it gets clogged. Well, when you have lots of thoughts, that's like a clogged traffic, street. And you want to be able to streamline your thinking and be able to isolate into oneness. And so when you have a thought, when you say an affirmation, the power of your spoken word is so powerful that when you say it, it cuts through, and it's such a strong energetic signature, and the universe is listening, and it's like, ooh, I heard that, right?
Yep.
It's so energetically congruent. And that comes through the power of focus and the power of alignment, listening to, yes, this is my truth. I am this. I choose this. Yep. So powerful.
Yeah. I want to make 2 points.
Cool.
I've often shared that I remember as a child being confused. It was like, let us pray. And then it's like, dear God, blah, 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 blah. And then back to life. And I just think, like, did you hang up the phone on God? Do you have to pick up the phone, let us pray, and then hang it back down? And then all this other stuff we say doesn't count? And it was like, no, everything that we say, everything that we think, everything that we are is an affirmation. So it isn't when you're practicing your affirmations. It's when you see that person walking down the street and you have that thought like, why does she get everything? What about me? That's an affirmation. That's an affirmation. I would like less than others.
That's a prayer.
It's a prayer. Just like a prayer, I'll take you there.
It is.
So that's where you want to watch your thoughts and watch your affirmations. What are those self-judgment things when you look in the mirror and you start, or I start saying, oh, this is wrong, or that's wrong, or that's wrong. Shifting those to be in a more loving place, catching all the affirmations, because your one little affirmation doesn't stand a chance if this thing is saying opposite to that all day long. And then the other thing is really knowing, like, the brain loves and is so happy when it has a little bit of a challenge, and then it does that. Like if you have a challenge of, I want to be able to walk for 5 miles and you can only walk 4.2, and then after a few weeks you walk 5 miles, that is so satisfying. So satisfying. But if you can walk 4.2 miles and you make your goal 8 and you don't succeed, and you don't succeed, and you don't succeed, and you say you're going to do it and you don't do it, or you say you're going to start going to bed at 10:30, but every day, every night, you end up going to bed at 11:15. It's almost like you become a liar to yourself.
Stop believing yourself.
Yeah. So if like your friend, if they tell you every single morning, I'm not having a drink tonight, and then every single night that friend has a drink, do you believe them that next time, that 27th time that they say that in the morning, I'm not going to have a drink tonight, you're just like, you are, but okay, ha ha ha, just smile. Be aware of not doing that to yourself. Don't say things that aren't true. Don't set yourself up to be a liar to yourself. So stretch the possibility as much as you can hold it and contain it and plan to, but don't say things that you have no intention on following through with, or that you don't have the emotional frequency to carry. Because you must have the power of the spoken word. And when, like, now from training for so many years, if I say I'm not going to whatever have a glass of wine for 27 days, I don't, because I said it, and I'm crafting that power of the word. Or if I say I'm going to walk 5 miles 7 days in a row, I do everything I can to do that. I'm very aware to follow through with the power of my words, because I'm making my words more powerful. I'm believing my words. I'm putting action into it. And then when I say something, I immediately become the energy of that, because it is my new truth. So it is done. You know, when you hear people say something, they'll say, I'm going to walk 5 miles every day for 7 days. And so it is. Boom.
So be it.
So be it.
I love this conversation. I love what is coming through. We're going to read them into the chat in a moment. I would like to close my final thoughts on this topic with 2 things. The first is, if you are going to use affirmations, and we highly encourage you to practice confirmations, clean your energy system up, do some Qigong, do some energy work, join us if you haven't already in one of our programs. Get yourself in flow so that when you sit to meditate and get still, your mind isn't racing, and you clear that traffic jam so that you can focus on one thing.
Damn
That traffic jam. I don't want to be late. Okay, thank you for an Austin news break. I used to hear that on the radio all the time. You get so focused that you have a clear lane, so that when you think a thought and you project a thought, when you energetically emit a thought, it is so potent and projected powerfully. But that thought should be infused from inner being, brain of the being. So you get into flow so that you can listen to that inner knowing. Allow it to speak to and through you so that it does feel like a confirmation. And then when you project the thought, be mindful of your language pattern. Some of the things that we teach our students is, oh, hey, you're saying a double negative. You're saying, I am now practicing and flowing so that I'm no longer in stress and I can be happy. Like, you threw a little negative in there. Don't give the subconscious mind anything that's flip.
Or I no longer eat sugar. That would be a good example.
That's a great example. Thank you. Like, don't tell it what you don't want. Only focus on what you do want. And if possible, put something into it that paints a picture of an outcome. Always you mentioned the brain earlier about it loves a challenge and it loves reward. And so if the brain, when it says the affirmation or the little phrase, realizes this is something good here for me, this is a beautiful outcome, then you can paint that picture as you're saying the affirmation. It's the reason that we created a firm of visions. We know that we wanted to saturate the brain in the visual, because the data of life's encoded in those images. We wanted the auditory, we wanted the music, the brainwave, the alpha. We wanted to soak the brain in that capacity. But we always said, before you do an affirmavision, meditate first. Get into state so that you can make sure that this affirmavision is aligned with you. And if it's not, you should create your own. And then we came up with the Satori storybook. The last thing I want to say is this. Let's say that you're doing these upgrades, these energy and these brain upgrades, and then something happens during your day and you go, well, shit, this ain't working, right? Or my bank account didn't change fast enough. I didn't lose that weight when I said
that. I wasn't a multimillionaire all day long in my head.
I did it all day yesterday. Where's my million, right? Like, we have had emails, like people say, how long till I make my first million?
Or how long till I'm
program. Yeah. Like, when, how fast does this work? If I invest in your program, how quickly can I attract my partner? I'm like, whoa, okay, hold on.
If I buy your program, how soon till my back is healed?
How soon till I get my husband back?
Yeah.
Like,
and if you write that email, don't buy the program, because he's never coming back.
So here's the thing. When that shows up, when that thought gets triggered by what you're looking at, right? You can call it evidence. When that evidence is there, here's the real work. Can you, irrespective of that, I'm not saying stick your head in the ground, come back to your energy system, come back to your flow, come back to, yes, but my energy is saying this. This may not have caught up on the external yet, but my energy is congruent, and I know, like I know, this is my outcome. And last thing, don't make your outcomes about a thing. Make them about a feeling, like Sabrina said earlier. What I really want is to feel relaxed. It wasn't about the money. I want to feel relaxed. I can sleep well and just know that I'm taken care of.
Yeah, that's
Remember
all.
the feeling.
That's all we really want with everything.
The money will come
So
after that.
because
It
I
always
have dealt
does.
with, stress, anxiety, sleeping issues in the past, I would choose to speak to myself and craft affirmations that feel very soothing and loving. Sometimes I felt like people were teaching affirmations that felt like almost like I was yelling at myself, or I was demanding things of myself, like a teacher. Like I'm supposed to say, I am now this and this and this, like I'm in the army or something. Yes, sir, I am now multimillionaire and I lost 25 pounds. Yes, sir. Right?
You're so funny.
And so that gentleness and that soothing affirmation should make you feel excited and comforted and relaxed,
Yeah.
an energized sense of relaxation. And I like that Tristan was saying about the evidence. So if you planted a crop of corn and people are like, I don't see the corn. Where's that corn?
Where's my corn?
You don't have any corn.
That corn ain't coming.
You're cornless. You've always been cornless. You're going to die cornless. You're just a cornless person. But you know that you put fertilizer down, you got your plot of land, and you planted the corn, and it's winter. And that corn is sprouting under the ground, and it's coming up. And that's your evidence, is the faith. The faith is your evidence. The knowing is your evidence. That feeling, that trust is your evidence. The sun's going to shine, the rain's going to come, and that corn's going to sprout. And all those voices that I was making fun of, those are your own voices. Because you don't care. I've told this story a bunch of times. Nothing anybody says to you will bother you unless it's something you're already saying to yourself.
Yeah.
So I went to this therapist, and one of my things was, hey, this girl is saying, do you remember what she was saying about me?
That you're mean or something.
Maybe like, oh, I know. It was that I'm really stuck up, and I think I'm better than everybody else. And my feeling was at the time was, as an introvert, I didn't know what to say a lot of times. So I would keep my mouth shut because I didn't know what to say. A lot of social anxiety. So I just didn't speak. But what it looked like, because of the package that I'm in, is, oh,
Stuck up.
look at her. Because I liked to dress and I liked to look nice. So, oh, look at her. She's all dolled up, too good to talk to us. So they would, think that. And so I was like, it really bothers me, and I don't know what I would do. And this
You
therapist,
said this to the therapist.
yeah, I was telling, and he said, well, what if they said to you, you're a big purple elephant. You're just a big purple elephant. What would you think? And I just giggled, and he goes, yeah, you would laugh. And he said, why would you laugh? And I said, because I'm not a big purple elephant. And he goes, oh, well, then if that's bothering you, you got to look inside. And what kind of thoughts do you have that either are afraid that you're going to be stuck up? Or are you a little stuck up? And do you think you're better than everyone else? Or what is it? What are you so afraid of? If people think that you think you're better than them, then what will happen? And that was such an amazing, amazing session for me, because I realized everything I react to that someone says about me is because I'm afraid it might be true, or what will happen if people think that. I'm like afraid for my life. It feels like some kind of death. Like if people think that, I don't know what to do.
Oh, it's not safe.
Yeah. So I think a lot of times we all react to we're afraid of what people will think of us. And anything that we think, oh, I'm afraid people might think this or might think that, it's because I think it. That's a fear that's in me, and I got to get rid of that and replace it with some kind of beautiful, soothing, joyful, energetic affirmation, because I couldn't care less right now if somebody thinks that I'm, whatever I said, stuck up or thinks I'm better than anyone else, because I know that's their issue. That's their projection on me. I'll take care of it on this end, but I'm certainly not going to worry about what somebody else thinks. And that's part of creating your perfect affirmation, is realizing what is it that you're unwinding. In some ways, your affirmations are unwinding and releasing these blocks that we've been carrying, because we all have unlimited potential. But why isn't it evident? Because of this other thing, this maybe tangled thought that we have, and to let go of that. And sometimes the energetic frequency, the confirmation, is untangling it so it can go on its own.
Beautifully said. That's a great story. Such perspective comes from that. We really are responsible for everything going on in between these ears.
Yeah.
You said full potential, which gives me my last thought. Which
You
is,
said it all.
I didn't though.
You want a bonus thought?
I have a bonus thought, which is what happens when you get into flow. My bonus thought is that affirmations seem to be needed to change the story. But the question I'm now asking myself is, where did this story come from? And why do I need to replace it? Why don't I just listen to the story of my soul? Because I believe that I do have this full God-given potential to be, do, and have whatever. I feel like we are all that blessed to be on this planet. We are all given breath and life, and we are equals. And we have the capacity, this incredible, miraculous thing that we are. And the only thing that's blocking that is negative thinking and energetic disruption. Then if I am that, I am, right? The I am statement. If I am that, then why don't I just connect to love, remember who I am and what I am, and allow the confirmation to be birthed from there. And if that turns into an affirmation, great. I'll say it and I'll put it in my book. We call it a Satori storybook. And here's why. Because every day there are distractions. And there is this thing that has been called the forgettery. Joseph Murphy called it the forgettery. And we all forget that. But if you write something down and say it on the regular, it reminds you. And I call them breadcrumbs. So I put them in my book, and then I go back and I remember, this is my truth. This is a confirmation that was shown to me. And then it snaps me back to that truth. So allow your affirmations to be that powerful that they're rememberings of what you already have the capacity to be. And all the doubts and the limiting thoughts and all the negative whatevers, when you're in that God mode, they dissolve. Because your truth is you're a different person. Your identity shifts. False drops.
Yep.
False, what fear? What doubt? What limitation? Who had that?
Limitation.
What limitation? Who had that? Not me. Not this I am. So I think that's the fastest way to upgrade, is to do it from the inside out through the soul.
Yep.
And then feed up and serve up to the mind.
In the smallest of ways. I'll say one more quick thing. I know a lot of you have been emailing us about Winston, because last week we shared that. So Winston has a heart murmur, and it says as high as it can be on the scale of degrees of severity. So he can't be put to sleep for any type of procedure because they don't think he'll wake up. And he has a tooth, this one, what's it called? The little fangy tooth, and it started falling down and sticking straight out, and it didn't look good, and called the dentist, and they're like, teeth and heart are connected, and we can't put him to sleep, and that tooth is connected to a nerve, and I don't know if you have to pull it. And so this was on a last Thursday, and we got an appointment to see like the main vet that deals with teeth on Monday. And I just kept thinking, we even thought like the tooth fell out, and then we looked and it didn't. And then I did, my mom would ask me like, what are you going to do? What if they need to pull? And I was just like, I'm not going to think about it. I'm just not going to think about it. I think it'll be okay. And hopefully the tooth will just fall out. And Sunday, Mom said, I don't see that tooth anywhere. And that tooth fell out. And we took him to the vet, and the vet said, this is so good, because if I had to pull it the way it is on the nerve and the bleeding, and it's not rotten, and it's already got a blood clot, and it couldn't be better than it is. And he said, Winston's pretty much perfect. And I was so grateful that I didn't waste my time every time I caught myself starting to worry, which to me was praying for bad things to happen. That's how I have associated worry. If I should not waste my time or my thoughts thinking about everything I don't want. And I was just thinking that it'll be okay and love. And so every thought is an affirmation. Think thoughts about the way you want things to be. And then just little miracles happen along the way. I was so grateful that tooth fell out, right? I was so grateful.
I love everything you guys have been sharing tonight. Thank you so much. I'm going to pop a couple on the screen and we can read them.
You have YouTubers in there too.
Mary said, this does make so much sense to me. Nancy shared, agreed. That's
Bonnie.
Nancy said, wow, this is fantastic. Thank you for explaining affirmations in this way. Madeline said, makes perfect sense. Energy runs the show, whether we're aware of it or not.
Yes.
Natalie said, thank you. Just had an aha moment about a self-limiting belief in my affirmations.
Yeah. Karen, it's so good to see you here.
Bonnie, thank you, Bonnie Clack. Thanks to you two, I live a much better life. We all support each other around here. It's incredible. Here we go. Bonnie Carney said, worse yet, you can't manifest the thing you don't want, LOL. It happened to me in surprising ways when I first started playing with this. She said, had a few backfires. Anyway, very, very lovely feedback from everyone. Yes, this makes total sense. Anna said, this was mind-blowing awesomeness. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, everybody. Here we go. Anna, we're going to pop you in there.
Wouldn't it be isn't it such a beautiful experience? To caught myself, wouldn't it be? Isn't it?
Hi, Karen.
To interact with people in a way where we focus on that which is good so that we create more of that.
Beautiful.
I'm constantly, he laughs at me. He's like, you reframe. I say I reframe at the speed of God.
Yes,
she does. As soon as I hear that one coming in, the negative of what I don't want. Oh gosh, I'm so afraid they're going to hurt him. They're going to have to. I'm so excited to see how this unfolds through the power of love. I know that he's going to be okay, and I'm going to be there with him the whole time. Talking about Winston.
The speed of God is she remembers her soul, her truth, not the other. And you know what happens over time is you upgrade
so much.
And your conscious mind actually catches up. How about that? When your conscious mind is in alignment with your soul. Do you get that? I didn't say your subconscious, I said your conscious, which means your heart is feeding your thinking mind, your cognitive mind. You're like living through the eyes of love. And then what happens? Because you live consistently that way, of course your subconscious gets reprogrammed. So now it's on the same team. It's like a double whammy. And now your subconscious is programmed for that mode. And if you're ever off your game or whatever in the forgettery, your subconscious mind snaps you back to God mode. It doesn't get any better than that.
Yep.
So that's Satori Method approach to affirmations.
I've gotten to the point where at night, when I roll over from one side to the other, which I do roll a lot because I got Winston on one side and Bentley on the other, and they reposition, so I have to reposition. If I start to think about any actions that I didn't complete from the day before, or anything I'm behind on, or anything like that feels like not good, not like, oh, I'm so excited in the morning I get to do this, but the kind of like, oh, you got to make sure you get that done. Faster than I can think that is this habit that's like, and I talk to myself like this because I need it and it helps me. It's just I say, hey, sweetie, I got you. It's okay. It's okay. It's all happening perfectly at exactly the right time. You get some rest, and we're gonna figure all this out in the morning.
That's some serious inner coaching right there.
But it's so sweet. It is so tender, and that has helped me so much to be that tender with myself because I was so mean. that inner voice, I was so mean and bullying to myself and critical that I have developed this tenderness. And I'll tell you, this is really weird, but sometimes I will imagine my spine almost being, I don't think I've ever told you this, being like unzipped and inviting all the love in as I sleep, like all the love and all the guidance just come on in and fill me as the body rests, and just soothing.
That's some deep stuff right there. You unzipping your spine at nighttime?
Yeah.
Okay. I never know what she's up to. You unzip her.
It just feels good to allow, like for me, there's a version of me that is non-physical. And I just sort of imagine that non-physical me, if I unzipped, coming into me and more filling this spacesuit. So it's more full of love and wisdom and guidance.
Well, you keep that love, wisdom, and guidance flowing, my dear. Thank you, everyone. Another Trisbrina Wellness Show has been delivered. You keep that love, wisdom, and guidance. I can hear myself. There's always good when you hear two Tristans. I think one Tristan's enough.
Wellness Show.
You got it. All right, everyone. Thank you for the lovely comments and the energy.
It's so fun when you show up live. Thank you. And the replays are wonderful, too.
Yep. We appreciate you so much and all the incredible things you shared tonight. And we're really glad that this helped, that this brought more clarity. I saw a lot of ahas came through. And, we're here to tickle your soul. Bye now.